Welcome back to After Hours Auto Works, and today on our little episode, we're actually going to do an XJ bumper tug. Now, hold up before I start getting hate speech on this right here. Now, I know that these old stock XJ bumpers and all, that they done good for years, and I know everybody now is stripping them off, putting the big old, either the weld together kit or else buying the $600 bumpers and all that. I know people are doing that, and and they look good, I guess, to you when you're rolling through your mall's parking lot. But for me, on my little camper I'm building, I'm gonna just run the stock ones for now, but I didn't really want the original stock ones. I wanted to tuck them a little bit and clean it up back there. Right here's my original XJ right here. You see how I have the trim piece up in here and how the bumper is. We're gonna wind up tucking this bumper around 2 inches and bringing it in. These old XJ bumpers, they got big gaps and everything. The way the caps lined up, they weren't, the best and the prettiest, and that's why a lot of people go ahead and resort to stripping these bumpers off and doing something different. But for my little camper for now, we got a little car show I was thinking about taking it to for now. While it's under construction, I really didn't want to, that frame showing, so I decided to slap these bumpers back on it, tuck them right quick. If somebody's got a nice little slam 2-wheel drive Cherokee or something like this might be a great project for you. If this is not your cup of tea, just go to the next video, okay? So don't slam me on it. I think you'll be impressed when you see the end of it. All right, we're gonna head into the shop now and show you what we got going on. All right here we got a stock rear XJ bumper mount. I got a few lines drawn on it and a few measurements drawn and all because I had to do some cutting on this. All right, so that's the year I cut off. The thing about these are when you're gonna do a bumper tug, you take and measure out from this surface right here, best you can, 1 7/8 inch. On the back side, adding the material, it's gonna be 2 inches. I made me a little old tab here that can lay in here because I had 4 of these to do. I got my front on my camper, and then I got the rears, so I had to do all of its rear bumpers, but I got my front rear one I'm putting on, and then the rear. So I made me a little mark with this little piece of steel at 1 7/8 inch. But put it right there, made my mark right there, scribed it, turned around, and took my straight edge, went ahead and scribed me a line across that little hump right there. Once I did that, then I turned around and I measured up from here down 3.5 inches. So I basically took my square, come down 3.5 inches, made my mark right there, made me a line at 3.5 there. All right. Then right here, coming outboard here, you have to notch this right here because when it is cut out right there, actually that's where the body is gonna fit, in this area right here. So I had to wind up cutting it 1 3/4 right there to get that cut out. So that's how I wound up cutting this. Right there's my dimensions right there, 1 3/4 right there to get that right there. And so I basically wound up, I end up with just a straight piece right here. Left over, this was garbage. This is the scrap. So now the idea is I take this with the side up, then I weld it onto here. Okay, so I'm going to weld it on there. Now I'm going to wind up using a straight edge to get my position there, and then a straight edge to get my position there. And once I get this side cut and I lay them down like this, I'll wind up having it so that it stacks right there. Here we are with one that I've already trimmed up and welded right there. Got it trimmed, got it welded. I added a bolt, one of my stock bumper bolts. I added it here. That right there is going to wind up making it a lot easier to mount this bumper. Basically, I just cleaned it up the material right there and welded it right there like that. That's all I did. So this is basically it. You see the notch out? Basically went flat that way, went flat across here. Make that mount up. Whenever you get through the way it should, if it's done right, you'll actually see this is tucked up in there, roughly about 1/8 of an inch. It's tucked right up in there, so that way you know. And see, now it's laying flat on my table. By clamping this down and putting my welds, that got me a good safe area and flat area to weld to. So that's basically what you're going to wind up with, something like that. And then, of course, I'll fill in the welds. One thing that I did do also, in order for this to fit on there and have plenty of motion, I wound up taking my die grinder and boring these out a little bit to get it a little bit rounder. Now, you're going to need a few extra nuts and stuff to mount this bumper. Of course, you got your original bolts, and that's what you'll need. But I gathered up 4 nuts, and then 4 washers, and then, of course, my lock washers. And so we're going to get over here, and I'll show you how it actually mounts to the rear here. This one here. Now, of course, I haven't finished welding this yet, so bear with me. I'm trying to work this so you can actually see how it would go. So we are going to weld it. 1. You want to wind up trying to move it so you can adjust that bumper out. It's going to be there as far as the bracket being mounted. Let me get the bolts here for the bottom and show you how the nuts work and everything. All right, now we're going to talk just a little bit here about this bumper here. All right, let me grab this little piece here. All right. Whenever you strip your bumper down and remove the brackets and all that, do not take this off, okay? This little trim piece here, just leave it on there, leave it riveted on. You don't have to take it off. Cut 3 1/2 off of each end. Doesn't matter, it can be sloppy because it's tucked under the tail light anyway, it doesn't matter. Also, right here in the middle, cut you about 3 1/2 by 1 inch right here, and that's going to clear your lock striker right there. And that's what that's for. So once this is on there, then what we're going to do is the end caps will be left off. Oh, and before you actually mount this bumper, it's a good idea to go ahead and notch with that die grinder. Notch these out about 1/2 inch. That's the way I did on my front one, and we're going to show it to you here in just a minute. Notch these out a little bit so that the caps have room to move in, and so you can mature them to fit the body. The bolts right here, as this fits up on there, you're going to reach right up inside and put it on there. And that's how it kind of works. Then, of course, your original bolt on the bottom will go up and use the nut there. The old original XJ clips were bad about breaking, and so there it is. And that's how it basically fits right there. Now it's going to fit on there. You got room to reach your arm up in here. Put your nut right inside there. Then put your bolt in the bottom and the nut there. Once the bumper is bolted on both sides, then that's when you're going to take your end caps and slowly start maturing them to fit the body. You have to do a little trim out work here. I even went as far as make this fit my body better because I can slide it inboard right there. I can slide that inside right there. That's why you needed the hole here and this one here cleaned up and opened up so that you can slide this in to get it to tuck in there. Let's go around to the other end and I'll show you what it looks like finished. All right, now I guess is the point where you're going to actually see what this looks like and how much better it actually looks like. Remember how my original Jeep looked? Now notice how close that's tucked in now. How clean that looks. Notice how the tail lights meet up. Right here, around my body here, how clean it looks. How it's tied in so nice and neat right there. The other side's the same way. These end caps, through the years, they warp and molt, and the new ones you get aren't much better than the old ones. And they got a lot of problems with them, the more reproductions. But you can take and trim these and get them fitting a lot tighter. Of course, I've got to paint my body, but that's basically the way it is. It's going to be tucked up in there. Notice it's tucking up underneath the tail light right there. Got rid of all that extra. We basically gained around 2 inches of a tuck. Being a camper like it is, it's not really all that detrimental to have this bumper hanging out here. It wasn't a problem, but I didn't like the looks of it. I wanted it a lot cleaner. Whenever we're stepping in and out right here, utilizing our camper, we wanted to make sure that we have plenty of room here. And I can even put me a storage box, maybe a wet box right here, anything I want here. So my bumper, that saves me 2 inches right there by tucking this up in there. Basically, the only thing it cost me was basically 4 nuts and 8 washers and a little bit of time, And like I said, we got a car show coming up. I think I'll ride this on over there to it and, and see what people say about it. But the main thing is it just cleaned up this area. It just cleaned it up, helped it to go in a lot better. These things never fit very well, so I like getting them tucked in and all. So basically that's kind of the rough instructions of how to do a XJ Cherokee bumper tuck. And appreciate you guys hanging in there with us and all. And like and subscribe, and see you next time.